What scares you as an adult that didn't bother you as a kid? I bought a house a couple years ago. Literally everything scares me now. It's raining, probably gonna flood the basement. Windy, trees gonna fall on the house. Weird smell, probably an electrical fire. Leave the house for literally 5 minutes. Obviously going to explode due to a gas leak. You forgot burglary. Yep, add that to the list. Signs of aging. When you're a kid, getting older means new and exciting changes. When you're in your 30s plus, it means far less fun things. I don't really sweat the cosmetic ones. I just try to think about the first lines to show up on my face were the ones you get from laughing. That feels right to me. The tendons in my legs not bouncing back from a walk or run. That I could do without. I don't mind the grey hairs. That's just showing I have some experience. But if those hairs start to run away, I'm going to be a whole lot less okay with it. I'm starting to get the "you've done the same job for 20 years" soreness. Those don't disappear as easily as before. Traveling in a car, especially if I'm not the one driving. Needing help or advice. I'm a grown adult now, 34, and my mom and dad have since passed on. When I run into a problem with an appliance or a home repair, or need help with a recipe, it always takes me a minute to remember they aren't here anymore. Really sucks having no one to lean on when things get hard. My mom used to just give me $100 without question when I'd be hard up for money. No more bank of mom. If I run out of money now, I'm just fucked until payday. Edit. Thank you all for your kind words and advice. I don't know if this will help or not, but there's a YouTube channel where it's just a dad recording how to do things like basic plumbing or electrical. I'm only 19, but he has helped me out a couple of times when I couldn't find anyone nearby that had the answers. I'm a 41-year-old father, and if there's anything I can help you with, don't hesitate to ask. Jumping down from a height greater than a few feet. As a kid I could jump off a roof and roll with it. Nowadays if I land funny I fear I'll be paralyzed for life. I remember challenging friends at school to see how many stairs we could jump down. The thought fills me with dread now. Imagine landing with your heel on the last step, or your knee going sideways. We used to jump down entire staircases in those stairwells in grad school. What is wrong with children? Question mark? A tooth falling out. As a kid it was gross, funny and painful all at once. As an adult, horrifying. My dentist said that a couple of my teeth are a little mobile. Then he said it's nothing to really worry about. As if hearing teeth and mobile in the same sentence is ever good. I had surgery a couple of months ago. When I woke up, I had a gash cut into my lower back gum about half an inch long. My very back lower tooth was also loose. I could wiggle it with my fingers. I was terrified. 2 different dentists took x-rays and told me no big deal. But I was mortified. Took about a month. But the gash healed and the tooth tightened up. How does that happen? My parents' mortality. I've already done the please don't die before I get to the hospital plane flight. Thankfully that was not the case. For now. This one is kind of weird for me but completely true. Because when you are a child, you see for parents' mortality as something so far away and that eventually you will be prepared. But is never the case. Recently my grandmother died after a long disease, and what it struck me the most was the reaction from my mom. She said no somersnadder. We are nothing. She was devastated, and then it comes to my mind. One day I would be the one on her shoes and she will be on the coffin. The hard part is that is the best result. That you bury your parents, not the other way around. You're never too old to want your mom. Other people's driving. I can barely sit through a car ride with my dad now without grabbing the oh shit bar. I felt that for a long time, after driving for many years. But I recently realized I just don't trust other people's judgments on what to do in situations. Yup. I volunteer to drive most times because I truly just only trust myself. And something about me just wanting myself in the driver's shit if an accident was about to happen. I can barely concentrate on anything when I'm in the passenger seat. Head injuries. As a kid, I thought broken bones were the big thing to worry about because I could visualize what that was. I had no sense for the severity of brain injuries. As an adult, protecting my noggin is my number one injury concern. because the human machine don't work with a damaged processor. Everything that you are and respect is contained in this tiny dome. One false move and you can become a monster to your peers or a burden to your loved ones. It's pretty scary to consider that. This is actually something I've dealt with to an extent. I busted my head in a weird ice skating incident. Pretty badly concussed. The people close to me around that time said I completely changed as a person following that. Lost a lot of friends. I only have very faint memories from before and rely on others to jog my memory a bit. I consider myself lucky to not be worse, but I can't help but wonder how I'd react if I could somehow meet myself before that. Also, I didn't have ADHD before, but I do now. That's fun lore. Getting out of bed in the morning after you slept in the wrong position. I slept funny the other day, so when I would turn my head a certain way, my elbow hurt. What the fuck? Your nerves that go to your arms run out of your spine at your neck. How easily your life can start going downhill, though. On the contrary, how crazy fast life can go uphill after it comes crashing down. 2 years ago I got run off a job by a top tier superintendent who went after my job trying to get me fired, saying I don't know what I'm doing and calling me a liar. Struggled with depression and a strong addiction to alcohol after that. Today I got nominated as the Employee of the Year for leadership in my state. All I did was try to make everybody's lives easier. That's awesome. I'm proud of you, stranger. People who just try to make everyone else's lives easier are the real heroes. I became an alcoholic. None of the good stuff you added at the end. Just an alcoholic now. I had no fear of U-Hauls until I rented a U-Haul. I filled out all of my information online and they gave me the keys to a 27-foot box truck. No training. No anything. They'll just let anyone take these massive vehicles and drive them off the lot. Give them a wide berth. My biggest fear is that I'll end up requiring care by others when I grow older. I'd rather die before that. Also, being stuck in my country and forced to live a mediocre life. I just turned 32 and I've been basically paraplegic for 4 years and it's awful. I wish I would just die. I feel like an anchor around the necks of everyone I love. They would mourn, but then they could just live their lives instead of carrying me around. I turned 63 this year and I've been a paraplegic for 40 years. I wish I could tell you it gets better. It doesn't. We get to have all the problems of aging and the problems of paraplegia. The only thing you can change is your attitude. When I found out back in 1980 that I'd never walk again, I cried, then dried my face and decided to get on with it. Fuck it. I'll do what I can with what I got. Best wishes on life's endeavors. Lack of time. As a kid, felt like I had all the time in the world. As an adult, I feel like I have no time to do anything other than work, taking away the moments that make up a dull day. Yes, I've been made aware that it's ticking, thanks guys. Roller coasters. I used to ride them all summer long because I had a Six Flags summer pass. I went a few years ago with my younger sister. It wasn't fun anymore. I just kept feeling like I was going to die. I ended up holding purses and keeping my feet on the ground. I never understood why my mom would just wait for me, but I get it now. Edit. Thanks for the awards. This would have been my answer as well. I used to go on any ride, no matter how high. Now you won't catch me dead on something like Kingda Cap, Six Flags in NJ. Butterflies. I don't get it either. Oh, and teenagers. I think everybody's scared of teenagers. Even teenagers. This is probably true. The different breeds of teen fear each other, while the rest of us fear them all. Honestly, just getting older. I'm only 36, but I just don't want to be an older person. I fear my daughter is already starting to see me that way, but I do everything I can to fight it. One disc in my back is permanently injured from a car wreck 12 years ago. One knee is bad from playing with a nephew 14 years ago. I want to be the strong hero my daughter needs as she grows up, but I fear these will really catch up to me in the coming years. Edit. Thank you to everyone for the kind words and reminding me that I'll be my daughter's hero no matter what, squishy or strong. Edit 2. Okay, normally I hate edits, but wanted to add this. At bedtime I talked to her about how I love that she says I'm her hero. but sometimes I feel old, and would she still feel the same when I'm not as strong as I'm now? She dead but told me, as long as you're strong enough to swing the small sledgehammer, because even I can do that, and I'm just a kid. I love that little girl. I was going to say getting older also. Almost 30 but pulling grey hair out every once in a while, and thinking about how even 10 years ago I was more or less a kid without a care in the world, makes me realize how fast time goes by. Man, my beard is more grey than not at this point, and the thinning hair on my head is so discouraging. I took the plunge and shaved my head early in the COVID lockdown, since I wouldn't have to go out in public if I didn't like it, and I hated it. What's worse is it came back thinner. Talk about a punch to the gut. Garage door springs. I owned my own garage door company for 10 years, so naturally I'm not afraid of them. But I can assure you, if you are not trained and don't know what you're doing, those springs will absolutely beat you to death. Maybe at best, take off a few fingers. Number 1 tip. Do not use a screwdriver to try to wind them or unwind them. Yay. Using a screwdriver sounds like an awesome way to get suddenly impaled. Honestly, death. Never really thought about it as a kid. Think about it way too much as an adult. Edit. Weirdly comforting to see I'm not the only one. Thank you for the awards. I hope you figure out how to get past the fear of what is inevitable as well. The only thing that makes me sad about death is leaving behind the things I love, that I'll never be conscious of them again. Loved ones and even my favorite films. Never to know them again. Never to hear music again. Never to be cozy at home with a good film. Instead your body is 6 feet underground forever in all weather. Never to be looked at or touched again. Exactly this. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of no longer having consciousness. That sounds really ducking claim. Owning a home. I'm only slightly exaggerating when I say that I wake up every day fully expecting some new and expensive catastrophe to unfold. Man, like 90% of the time, when I have a stressed dream, it's about finding water where there shouldn't be water. I just lived this. Bought first house in March. So excited. It was a new build, but it felt like something broke every other week. The night before Halloween, a bulge in the paint on the ceiling showed up. I didn't want to deal with it and chalked it up as a shadow. The next morning, it tripled in size. Anesthesia. As a kid, I was led to believe that it was something magical that happened to you when you got your tonsils out, and then afterwards, you could eat all the ice cream you wanted. Now that I've had it as an adult and know that there's always a possibility it could go horribly wrong, I get really antsy and scared just thinking about it. Being in large crowds. Totally this. In high school and college I was nearly trampled at crowded concerts and other drunken types of revelries, and shot at. Now I'm scared of either getting trampled or another budgeting. Deep water. I learned to swim in it by essentially jumping into a pool on holiday as all the other kids were in the pool and didn't want to be left out. Now for some reason, if I'm in water and it reaches my chest, I'm struck by an absolute rising sense of dread. My breathing gets shallow, and I feel so uneasy and upset I have to get into shallower water to be calm again. I feel kind of similar about the open sea. If I'm on a boat, it absolutely terrifies me that there's miles upon miles of emptiness below you. Emptiness, filled with monsters that mankind has never yet seen. I used to love flying as a kid. Then, when I was late teen/young adult, I was on a particularly turbulent flight for hours over the ocean and thought we were going to crash. 4 years after that, I couldn't fly without anxiety. I didn't want to look out the window. I'd close my eyes and mutter through turbulence, etc. Then, inexplicably, I chose a career as a flyer in the Air Force. That helped to get me over my fear of flying pretty well. Yep, similar boat. Flown at least a couple times a year since I was a little kid and had no problem flying, even alone. Even hit a turbulent flight to Tokyo about 10 years ago that didn't faze me long term. Then when I was about 26 or 27 I was on an island hopper type plane during a thunderstorm. The flight, which was coming from a very tiny airport, had originally been grounded, but somehow we got approval to fly about a half hour later, and I legit thought I was going to die that day. That storm tossed us around like we were a toy. There were only 3 other passengers on the plane, a little old lady who slept through the whole thing, and a couple of Air Force guys who chatted pleasantly with each other like nothing was happening. It was really surreal. Had some flight anxiety for a year or so after that. Those Air Force guys had probably seen worse. I was crazy on bicycles. When I was a kid, I'd jump anything, anywhere, on a little tiny bike, crashing spectacularly like we all did in the 70s. Now, I have a bike with suspension that rivals a motocross bike, and this very bike can handle obstacles that off-road trucks might have issues with, and I ride around never leaving the earth, with a helmet, and enough other stuff on I can literally play football. Oh god yes. I used to do insane jumps out of gullers into intersections of the neighborhood I grew up in. There was hardly ever traffic, but even the idea that I could get hit by a car never crossed my mind. Now, if there's a car driving within 10 feet of me, I can barely hold it together. I just stopped riding bikes a couple of years ago. Financial emergency 100%. When you're a kid you don't think about things like this. You could be off of work due to injury for 2 months and lose everything you worked hard for, even if you were doing everything right financially. Seeing a balance of $100.00 in my account now yes, when I was a kid is a much different experience. The final realization that the path you're on, career, wife, skills, friends, will be the one you travel until retirement. It's like welp, only 30 years to go. This is my life now. Not being prepared for retirement. I'm thankful that my work provides me with a 401k, but it's insane how none of my coworkers take it seriously. In addition to contributing basically nothing, when we get matched a certain percentage based off of years of service. I see so many coworkers take out unnecessary 401k loans. Compounding interest is your best damn friend, folks. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.